They've continued to work and grow and implement their program and are setting the foundation for what they want to get accomplished here over the next couple of seasons.
I think one of the most intriguing teams this offseason is the Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins have the capital to do whatever they want.
They're competing and building a culture.
I believe in team. I would say that. If you want to strive to do something great as a group, you got to work together.
You have a plan, you stay true to the plan, you execute the plan. The Dolphins, this is how you turn around a franchise, like this.
We're trying to build a team that's going to win right now, and we'll be very aggressive.
Welcome to the field, your Miami Dolphins.
We're looking for guys who are tough, who are smart, who are competitive, love to play.
They have landed some big fish. Love what the Miami Dolphins did. You're trying to build something there.
Fitzpatrick throws to the end zone. It is Parker. Darnold never saw the pressure coming, and he is leading. Gesicki wide open. Touchdown.
Let's have some fun and play together, man. Win on three, win on me. 1, 2, 3, win.
If you can get a group of young men to band together, to believe in one another, to practice and prepare at a high level, then you'll win ball games.
Big man, touchdown, picked off by Bobby McCain.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and I'm back here with another one, and I'm again joined by the homie Rhino and the homie Havoc. What's good, boys?
Oh, man. What's good? What's good, Reason? How's it going, man?
Fins up, guys.
Yeah, fins up.
Another day, another dollar, I guess.
Looks like it, bro.
How you guys doing today?
Bro, I can't complain, man. You know, woke up this morning, so I got no complaints.
That's right. Another day. It's all good.
There you go. Look at that. Everyone's so humble and so excited that they just that their eyes opened and they were met by the rays of the sun.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
And a Dolphin stream. You got to be happy.
And a Dolphin scrimmage, which I know a lot of people were really excited about. And we'll get into that in a few seconds here. But let's cover some few things. First, let's start off with some I guess some pretty somber news when it comes to, well, we've now found out exactly why Ryan Fitzpatrick did miss time, on 11-11s. I believe it was last weekend or the week or just before last weekend. And that's because at the time when he did miss time and everyone was worried about whether he had dead arm or whether he was retiring, he actually went to go see his mother, from what we understand, one final time. And then today, Ryan Fitzpatrick's mom did pass away, and that's why he wasn't available for scrimmage today. So, some pretty somber and terrible news that was delivered to even all the guys in the locker room just before they hit the field as well. So kind of, the type of energy you don't want. And it throws off the excitement that everyone had. But terrible, terrible news. Our thoughts and our prayers are with Ryan Fitzpatrick and his family, of course.
Yep.
And you could clearly tell, I don't know if any of you guys happened to watch the Zooms today. You could clearly tell it affected a lot of the players when they were talking about it in the Zooms. Even Tua Tagovailoa seemed pretty shook up about it. So,
yeah, I mean, he is the leader. I mean, apparently, from what we've been told, he is like the leader of the team. So, when you try to build like a family like atmosphere, organization that has like integrity and values the people in the building, then in moments like this, you don't even really care about the football.
Yeah, it's
just like this is a human being that lost his parents, so you just got to give him the time that he needs.
And he's been. And like Flores stated today, and Cameron Wolf highlighted here, right, about how he's been trying to work through it. I mean, if you think about it, he's just been he's been reacting the same way Favre did when he lost his father. He's just been going out and he's been performing. You know what I mean? Like he's been trying to shake it off, and kudos to him, man. It shows about the competitor and the competitive spirit in him. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just practice. Go home, be with your family. And like you said, Havoc, there's a lot more important things than football, especially a lot more important things than practice in life, right?
Especially, there are a few things when you lose it, you can't get it back. Your health and your family.
Yep.
So if you wake up and you got both, you're winning. And appreciate that. So
yeah, I hope her family, him, they all, are able to deal with this well, and hopefully something positive will come out of it for everyone. People are bonding on the team, it looks like, over certain things, and that's not the worst thing. And it's very sad. Now we know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Flores said today, he's not opting out. He's not retiring. There's no quarterback controversy. He's basically our number one. So guys, support him as much as you can. Terrible situation for anyone to be in. And like Tua said, and every time I hear these stories, I think the same way Tua did. Tua said, after he told Fitzpatrick he was there for him and for his family, and he'd be there being the prayers, one of his first thoughts was about his own mother and losing his own mother, right? And he couldn't imagine that. So I agree, man. So
reasons. Do you think that's maybe why Tua was wearing number 14 jersey? The first interview, maybe they had a little bonding over that. And
it's hard to read into that. It could just been general, like
giving him support,
their
giving
bonding,
family support.
Yeah, well, we didn't know about this, so maybe in a small way.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like they do. They did know. Rosen kind of glossed over it a little bit, that he kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, but I'm saying we didn't know.
Yeah.
So, maybe, but at the end of the day, they have a relationship outside of what we just see.
Agreed.
So it is what it is. That is life, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the womb to the tomb, brother.
Hey,
All right. So moving on, guys, there was some huge news, because if you guys were following along, if you guys were up early this morning, Omar Kelly reported at around 8 or 9 a.m. that the Dolphins were fielding offers for Raekwon McMillan. And then not too long after the fact, Raekwon McMillan was traded about an hour and a half after that article dropped. He was traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. And, it kind of speaks this, they got a 4th round, but they also had to give up a 5th along with Raekwon to get that 2020 4th. So, McMillan is in the last year of his deal, like it states here, but that shows you the intrigue might have been there throughout the league, but obviously the solid offers and weren't pouring in if they had to package Raekwon with a 5th to only move up to a 4th.
Yeah. I think if you look at the situation, last year his main competition was Sam Egwavon. This year his competition is Camus Grugier-Hill and Landon Roberts. Mm-hmm. And we're aware that Raekwon is limited in terms of versatility. He basically is a run stopper, and that's it. He's not have pass coverage skills to the tune of when passes are thrown to the man he's covering.
Terrible.
Quarterbacks had a passer rating of 118. So clearly limited in terms of what he can offer on the field. Great at run stopping, not too much else, and was falling down the depth chart as well behind Landon Roberts and behind Grugier-Hill. He was getting buried. So maybe he'll have a chance out there in Las Vegas. I assume they are now in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. What we're seeing that 2017 draft, they're getting out here in quick order.
I'm sure they would have gotten more. They would have gotten more for him if he had a contract, but he didn't have a contract, so
yeah.
And whoever trades for him is going to have to give him an extension.
And he's better off there because he is more of a 4-3 Mike than a 3-4 Mike. He'll be perfectly suited for there. It's schematically more of a fit there than he is here, obviously, because the responsibilities require you more than just to be primarily a run stopping linebacker. And that was always the question. Is he going to take that leap into coverage and be able to become a 3-down linebacker? And as good as a run stopper he is, if you're not going to be a 3-down linebacker, you're going to continue to get buried behind the chart as they bring in guys who show the ability to do so. And, you know, when we got Kamu Grugier-Hill, we highlighted his ability in the pass rush and in the run game. Even though he got just over 100 snaps, he flashed in both. Landon Roberts, a guy who comes from schematically what Brian Flores is trying to do. He understands what's required, and he can play in both. You know what I mean? And it's crazy how quickly this snowballed, because only a couple days ago, everyone was saying they were now noticing him getting buried down the depth chart, and it literally went from 0 to 60 over a 3 or 4 day span.
Yeah. I think what you're looking at now is the ongoing turnover of, you know, guys like Devontae. You know, they probably doesn't have to worry about too much, but a lot of these, you know, although Greer was with the organization, Tannenbaum was in charge. A lot of these, you know, pre-Greer guys that were drafted probably for a system that is much different than the system we're currently running, they're falling by the wayside, man. They're left and right.
The Gates boys. I'm surprised the Jets didn't trade for Raekwon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, they need a lot of pieces. They need a lot more than a Raekwon McMillan, but they're very thin. They're very thin at inside linebacker right now. I know that much.
Right.
I was being facetious to an extent, but yeah.
Is Mosley out for the year again?
Yeah, that's another reason why I said Raekwon too. Yeah.
Man, this guy, he's one of those guys. He signed a big contract, hasn't seen the field since. Hey, Jets problem.
Yeah, not ours, eh?
Yeah, right.
Rhino, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the writing was on the wall. Like, there's so much linebacker depth. I mean, Flo's been dancing around that subject for a couple weeks, and now we know why he didn't see any action. They didn't want to have him any chance of being hurt, pulling a muscle, so they made their mind up.
And what do you guys in the comment section before Havoc continues on here? Are any of you guys? Are you guys surprised? Are you guys shocked? Let me know in the comments right now, whether you're watching now in the live chat or after the fact. Are you surprised that they moved on from Raekwon so quickly and how quickly this snowballed over the last 3 or 4 days?
Well, you know, from what I saw, you know, Raekwon expressed displeasure with the fact that he was falling down the depth chart. And, you know, it kind of circles back a little bit to the Rosen argument, where it was like a young guy is going to want opportunities to do something in this league. And I think that was one of the main criticisms of Rosen, is he's a guy that still thinks has like those starter expectations when realistically Tua is the future. And maybe Raekwon was like, I started all these games last season and I'm second or third behind on the depth chart now at the position I played last season. So maybe at that point, it was, you may not have the future you thought you had here. So we're gonna have to make a move if you really want playing time like that, because you're probably not gonna get it here. And once again, Flores is able to have real conversations with guys, not letting stuff linger, not letting stuff kind of, you know, hang out there and become distractions, become issues. You know, they've shown, you know, if you're a threat to the chemistry, they're gonna ship you out in quick order.
I just been listening to you guys for the last 6 months talk about, you know, Raekwon, and the one thing everyone always said is that he's very good at you know, the rush, but he's not good at passing defense. So it does and it doesn't surprise me, you know, because the number one thing with Flo seems to be versatility. Period. End of story.
Yeah, and he wasn't going to, you know, he wasn't going to elevate into the 3-down linebacker necessarily. And you can find, particularly if you look at Van Noy, Landon Roberts, you can find guys that can stop the run and help you out a little bit, either in the pass rush or in pass coverage. And Raekwon was like, he did that one thing really well, but that doesn't necessarily fly with the system that we're trying to run here. You got to, everyone has to be able to do multiple things.
Right.
And as a guy that has, basically a one asset guy, writing's on the wall.
So you said he was a little upset about it. I didn't hear anything about that, McMillan.
Apparently, he expressed displeasure to Flores about his placement on the depth chart.
Wow.
So
yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm not saying he was out here, making waves or anything, but
no, yeah,
but that's what I saw in a report yesterday.
Right.
When they were bringing up that he was being shopped.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That's super interesting because, I mean, clearly they're not messing around, right? If you're going to – because it makes me wonder how disruptive he was being if they moved on from him that quickly.
I mean, it could have just been a conversation he had with Flores where it's like, yeah, man, like I started all these games last season. I'm second or third on the depth chart now. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, dropping fast.
Yeah. I mean, that would be consistent with the reports we've seen throughout training camp is Raekwon McMillan is going down.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. So maybe they had they just had, a man-to-man discussion. Like, hey, I'm looking for this and you ain't got it.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like, let's be honest here. We've highlighted it multiple times. It was a problem, that he wasn't developing into that 3-down linebacker. I mean, you highlighted his, let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, it seems like not only is Jerome sticking around because of his athleticism, but his willingness, I've said this before, it seems like his willingness to take on any responsibility they ask of him. Obviously, he knows that if he falls down the depth chart, I don't think you're going to hear him, I don't know whether you want to say have it out or voice his frustration to Raekwon to the extent that they're going to, like I've said, I've said it's clear guys like Alan Hearns, Jerome Baker, they're likable people that Flores likes himself, right? Mm-hmm. And, I said this before when Sharif brought him up about him taking on, I think, Jerome had to take on the mic responsibilities last year because who else are you going to give him to when you look at the room that we had? But but I've said this before. I think his willingness to take it on, the amount of tackles he put together, even though he was terrible in coverage last year as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
His willingness to take it on, his willingness to be a team player is what will have Jerome Baker stick around longer than a guy like Raekwon, if what you're saying is true, because I hadn't read that either. That is what will have you stick around longer. Your willingness to try and adapt and be versatile. Your willingness to do what's best for the team, even if that means you're not getting first string snaps. And on top of that, you got an infectious type of personality and everyone likes you.
Yeah.
You're going to want to keep that guy around as opposed to someone who, okay, we're starting to see you're one-dimensional with what we're asking. And on top of that, you're clearly frustrated that you're not getting first-string snaps right now. So it's kind of turning into a thing that could boil over into a bad situation. Let's wash our hands of it right away kind of thing.
Yeah, and they also could have been in a situation where they may have had this deal in the works and they're just trying to work out the details of it. Mm-hmm. They may have had a conversation with him where they let him, like, we just found out that they were shopping him, which means they have been shopping him for a minute. Mm-hmm. So he may be at a point where, he's out here trying to shop him, but they're not giving him any reps in training camp. So the news going out about him is that his play is taking a hit. Mm-hmm. So he might have just been, get me out of here before, this affects my reputation. But at a certain point, a lot of coaches, they'll take a dude that can be a pain in the butt if he's a first stringer. But if you're a reserve, That's not flying. I think particularly with this administration.
A healthy Raekwon is worth a hell of a lot more than an injured Raekwon. So I think looking back on it, when he started to slip down that depth chart, they were probably actively shopping him. I mean,
yeah,
that's my feeling.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we knew going into this season that he's one dimensional.
Yeah.
So they might have just brought him in the training camp to see what else he had to offer, or what he was working on in the offseason, and he may have came back and just maybe been a better version of that one dimension, but still that one-dimensional player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So hey, we got a 4. We got a 4 on it. We got a 4 for it.
But like I said, it just shows me the fact we had to give Raekwon in the 5th. It just shows me that there probably weren't a lot of teams banging the door right now.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Think
what was definitely indicating to me was that they gave up him and a 5th for the draft pick. I think if it was just him for the 4, I'd been like, okay.
But it's better than cutting him and getting nothing, though. I mean,
there it goes. Once again, those conditional 7th round picks we got for Charles Harris and Kalen Ballage. Yeah. I don't think they would have cut him though.
You don't?
I don't think they would have cut him. But I just particularly in a COVID season, I don't think they would have let him just. I think they might have just let him, ride out his contract. Mm-hmm. He was on his last year, right? So they might have just let him ride it out. But a guy that that you're not going to extend, you might as well get draft assets for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw what Barry Jackson wrote today too, he basically said that it met the wishes of both parties because the Dolphins had decided they preferred to play newcomers Landon Roberts and Camus Grugier-Hill. And like you said, it says McMillan had been frustrated with his lack of opportunity to compete for a starting job this summer, according to a source. And I'll show everyone exactly what I'm reading so you can have a little bit further context on this. Right here, it says, right here is where I'm talking about, guys. The trade met the wishes of both parties. The Dolphins decided they preferred to play newcomers Landon Roberts, Camus Grugier-Hill, and McMillan had been frustrated with his lack of opportunity to compete for a starting job this summer, according to a source. And Brian Flores cited depth at linebacker as one reason for making the trade, though the Dolphins ended up not getting much back. And Flores said, Raekwon is somebody I have a lot of respect for, a talented player. People are going to say what they want to say. He's a good football player. He's going to have a long career, but there's a lot of depth in that room. Like a lot of decisions we make, there are a lot of things that go into that. We're not going to tell you. So clearly they didn't want to extend Raekwon McMillan as well, right? Every decision we make is in the best interest of the Miami Dolphins. I wish him all the best. He's a good kid. And yeah, it just goes over where he was selected. But it says McMillan never believed he was getting a legitimate opportunity to start alongside Kyle Van Noy and Jerome Baker. It was clear to him that Miami preferred Roberts, who had signed by the Patriots, and Grugier-Hill, who started a combined 16 games for Philadelphia over the past 2 seasons. So there you go. The writing was on the wall. He knew what was going on. Guys, we highlighted on the other platform me and EM were on when we started this. If you guys go back to free agency and when these moves happened, you can find EM saying this is, we thought Jerome Baker was going to have to be looking over his back a little bit more. But it turns out Landon Roberts and Camus Grugier-Hill are making everyone look over their back, not named Kyle Van Noy in that linebacker room or Andrew Van Ginkel for that matter. So,
boy, that linebacking core that is a total transition. If you're talking about starting, the Van brothers, a Landon Roberts. A term we've coined, the Van brothers, Van Noy and Van Ginkel.
I got to get a graphic made of them.
Landon Roberts, and
do it like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, nice.
Boy, that's a hell of a transformation from last season.
Yeah, it's a switch.
Yeah. So and then look and Jerome Baker's place as a starter is highly questionable. Like you said, he's a good guy. When you see the Dolphins put out stuff to the press, he's always in it.
And he works hard.
Yeah, and he works hard. But like we said, competition has increased across the board on this team.
Yeah,
so
Jerome's going to have to step it up this year, man. because he doesn't want to go through another year of, you're a tackle machine, but you're struggling in coverage and you're struggling in the run game as well. And then, Flores and Greer having the ability in another offseason to infuse more talent, whether it be through the draft, UDFAs, free agency, whatever it may be. That's not going to be bold because all they'll do is find guys who are probably better scheme fits. So he's got to show this season to me that he can be a scheme fit in this defense, because I don't know if he can make it through another talent infusion off season, basically.
Yeah. So we know. So the thing that he's came in as supposed to be like his best attribute, which is essentially his pass coverage and his speed, his sideline speed. And he was getting, he didn't necessarily have the greatest season last year in pass coverage. So if he can't build upon his skill set, what does that leave him? Because if you're looking at the Van brothers, you got Landon Roberts and you got Gruber Hill. Those are your linebackers. Where does how does Jerome Baker supplant any of those people?
Yeah,
that's a serious
question.
Is
he at risk of being cut?
I don't think he's at risk of being cut. I think he's at risk of losing some of his playing time. That's what I think he's at risk. And then that's going to make it harder for him to show that he can do what they want to do, what they need him to do, and he can be that 3-4 scheme fit, because we've been pretty significant that he's more of a Will in a 4-3 than he is a Mike in a 3-4. So we'll see how it works out. The thing is, here's the thing. The scary thing about less opportunity, less snaps, less reps is those less reps, those less snaps, those smaller opportunities, they mean that much freaking more. So,
valuable.
When you got Van Ginkel, Van Noy, Landon Roberts, and Camus Gruger Hill, all guys who can play in the interior. But Van Ginkel, I think, we'll see more on the edge. But he'll take interior snaps too. Like I highlighted that Jets game. He's coming up from the interior. So, especially if there's an injury back there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, man. It's going to be.
What do you think about Richard Boven's comment, Van and Vanner? I think it's pretty funny.
I'm gonna roll with the Van brothers until
Van brothers.
Van brothers. Okay. I got an idea, so I don't know if I can say the word, but I want to put them in an ARPist van, and I want to have their heads like sticking out the side of like a plain white van, or like one of those vans, they tell you not to get in.
Yes. Yeah, man. They kind of already look like Beach Bros a little bit too. You know what I mean? You see it with the VW. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go, for sure. Have some surfboards on there.
The Van Bros.
Shout out to Quentin Riddle for the $3 donation. He says he's surprised about the trade. So I'm surprised how quickly it happened. 3 days ago, 3-4 days ago was the first reports of he's falling down the depth chart, and they traded. They didn't. Hey man, give kudos. They didn't work. They didn't play around. They moved him right away. So,
and it also goes to show. Now let's be honest. Getting any draft capital for Kalen Ballage is a miracle, and I could make the same argument for Charles Harris too. So clearly, not a front office that's shy to making deals.
All right, so
Greer is a wizard. He's a definite wizard.
Yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the highlights. Let's go over today, guys. And as usual, we'll start off with the Miami Herald. So in case anyone didn't know, guys, both Rosen and Tua struggled today for the second straight time that Fitzpatrick has left for personal reasons. Both have struggled. So here we go. So the Dolphins played without quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, who left the stadium before scrimmage began after learning of the death of his mother. It says Brian Flores had his arm wrapped around Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback left the field. Fitzpatrick did not return. The team then took a knee before the scrimmage began. Flores said Fitzpatrick is not retiring and is not opting out of playing the season. The coach said Fitzpatrick will take as much time as he needs, and there is no quarterback controversy about who's starting. And it just said we will give him as much time as he needs to grieve. My thought is he will try to get back as soon as he can. Asked if he might miss the September 13th opener in New England, Flores says it's hard to say. He tried to go out there today. I've gone through multiple conversations with him. He's a competitive guy. Tried to go out there, but some things are more important than football. So Fitzpatrick's departure left the Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Rosen taking all the snaps, and it did not go well. It took until Miami's 14th offensive possession for a touchdown to be scored. That TD was a Rosen pass to Ricardo Lewis. That was the only touchdown in 15 possessions between both quarterbacks. The Dolphins' 10 offensive possessions of the first half did not produce a single touchdown. Miami mustered 3 field goals on those 10 first-half possessions, with Tagovailoa, the quarterback, on 2 of those drives and Rosen on the other. In the second half, Tagovailoa's possessions resulted in no points, and Rosen's led to 1 touchdown. So the final numbers in the points production category, Rosen generated a touchdown and a field goal, and Tagovailoa generated 2 field goals. Their final numbers overall, Rosen was 11 for 24 for 143 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Tua was 13 for 23 for 119 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. Rosen and Tagovailoa shared the 15th and final possession, which went nowhere. Tagovailoa started that 15th possession, but coaches then made several substitutions during that drive, with Rosen replacing Tagovailoa, who said he had hoped to finish that drive. And guys, that whole basically a bunch of players on that offensive drive and a bunch of players on the defense on the side of that ball on that offensive drive were replaced, not just the quarterbacks. Tagovailoa started ahead of Rosen and guided a first drive that resulted in a 47-yard field goal led by Jason Sanders. Tagovailoa was 2 for 4 for 25 yards in that drive. The Alabama rookie quarterback also guided the Dolphins on a mini march that ended with a 57-yard field goal by Jason Sanders. Wow, good to see Jason's out there hitting them. But Tagovailoa later threw a first-half interception to safety Eric Rowe on a pass intended for Mike Gesicki, and accomplished little in the second half. Rosen, whose involvement in team drills diminished in the recent days, got a lot of work on Saturday and struggled early before coming on late. His first 2 passes should have resulted in interceptions. So there you go, guys. He should have had 3 interceptions. And he later threw an interception to Clayton Fedulum. So not even a stud out there. He threw an interception to the special teams guy. Rosen led, at least Tua threw his to a starter, I'll say that. Rosen did lead 1 first-half scoring drive that ended with a 41-yard field goal by Jason Sanders. That drive was aided heavily by a pass interference call against Breon Borders. Rosen came alive in the second half, it says here. He completed a pass to Malcolm Perry for a 50-plus yard gain, though it didn't go for a touchdown. Then he completed the touchdown pass to Ricardo Lewis. The pass went over the head of cornerback Nick Needham, who almost intercepted it. What's clear is that neither Tagovailoa nor Rosen has put a stranglehold on the backup quarterback spot. Flores said after the scrimmage that the number 2 quarterback is undetermined. Tagovailoa has been given every opportunity to beat out Rosen for the number 2 job, and the rookies seem to have had the better camp entering Saturday. But Rosen deserves credit for his second half work Saturday, and the job remains open. It appears in the Dolphins' best interest to keep 3 quarterbacks for several reasons, including the possibility that teams could lose a quarterback for a couple games because of COVID-19. We aren't permitted to identify what players work on the first team and second team. What we can tell you is that Robert Hunt had impressed the coaching staff earlier this week to the point that he put himself very much in the mix for a major role, which hadn't seemed the case early in camp. But Hunt's chances took a hit on Saturday. Hunt was consistently destroyed by defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah, who had at least 1 sack. The Dolphins entered the camp logically needing to choose between 2 rookies, second-rounder Robert Hunt and fourth-rounder Solomon Kinley for a starting job with presumptive starter Jesse Davis, who can play right tackle or right guard. The decision appears still to be pending, but Kinley has looked better of the two guards. Hunt was considered the better prospect by many. Kinley might be more NFL ready, having played in the nation's toughest conference at Georgia. Hunt has been trying to make the transition from Louisiana Lafayette, but it doesn't look like it's going very smoothly for him right now. And then final notes here. Cornerback Xavier Howard, who had come off the COVID and pup list, participated in the scrimmage, but linebacker Kyle Van Noy, who has been nursing a hand injury, did not. Receiver Devontae Parker, again, did not practice, but they're saying it is not a serious injury. In another injury note, running back Jordan Howard limped off after slipping while taking a handoff and was checked out by trainers on the sideline, but then he returned. Howard and Matt Breda are expected to be 1A, 1B. Perry went to the locker room during the scrimmage with an undisclosed injury, but then he returned, and he caught that long pass from Rosen. Linebacker Landon Roberts, who has had a decent chance to win a starting job, committed a pass interference penalty. It says the Dolphins love Roberts, which is one big reason they traded Raekwon McMillan. Also, Nick Needham was whistled for pass interference, bailing out Rosen on one throw. And though Sanders had a good day, he missed from 61 yards on the last play of the first half.
A lot to break down. I mean, first, just to kind of prepare our community, number one, our defense is going to more than likely consistently win these scrimmages. Let's just, especially early on, the defense is always going to win early on. But, you know, like I said before, judge by the totality of the week, not by the individual days, particularly day one. You know, this is a situation where Rosen going into his third training camp, Tua going to rebuilt offensive line. We just heard Robert Hunt did not have a good day out there. You know, clearly the O-line still has work to do. And, you know, I think you could probably make the comparison that the O-line's production and perhaps the production of the quarterbacks, they didn't really get too much into how the running game was, but the production of the quarterbacks probably had some effect. Particularly you're talking about Emmanuel Ogbah getting consistent pressure off the edge. So, like I said, I'll look forward to how the rest of the scrimmages go, and at the end of the week, make an assessment then. But for now, you know, it's just good that they got out there, got the experience, and now it's just make the progress. You know, you understand what you did wrong, you understand what happened. Come back tomorrow and be a little bit sharper, show a little bit more, because you're gonna have Byron Jones and X and all these guys out there. Same guys are gonna be out there tomorrow. So just, you know, try and get a little bit better than you were today.
I do want to point out too that Alf Arteaga said today that apparently Tagovailoa was thrust, and I quote, into Fitzpatrick's role. So that's him basically saying he was running with the ones.
He doesn't have chemistry with the ones yet.
Without saying he was but he said when Alf Arteaga highlighted Josh Rosen's numbers, there's a big quote Alf Arteaga said, and y'all can find it on First Reason Sports. He said Rosen's numbers came against, and I quote, lesser competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I yield the floor to Eden. I'm very interested.
So I just want to say, sorry, hold on, EM. It sounds like Tua was working with the ones against the ones, and Rosen was working with the twos against the twos and the threes.
Okay. I know Breon Border's name came up as pass interference. So, yeah.
And remember, Rosen got picked off by Clayton Fledgelum. Tua Tagovailoa got picked off by Eric Rowe.
So we can clearly distinguish who was playing against who.
Exactly.
So maybe
they put up a very similar. They put up an identical stat line minus the one touchdown. But Tua was a rookie in his 10th day of pads against the ones, and Rosen was his third training camp against the twos and the threes.
Yeah. It's a very interesting situation because maybe those guys that Tua was building up chemistry with, those are the guys Rosen was working with.
Exactly. That's what it was, right? Like, when you hear the touchdowns for Tua, you hear Ricardo Lewis, you hear Gary Jennings, you hear Mac Hollins,
you
hear those bottom guys, Malcolm Perry. You hear Malcolm Perry, and who did the 50-yard completion Rosen had go to? Malcolm Perry, right?
Hey, listen, Tua is the second Tua started throwing passes to Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins took that wing stop application. He was like, threw that thing in the trash, bro. He's out here. He's out here trying to own a wing stop now. Thanks to the left arm of God. But yeah, I mean, clearly they both have to adjust now. Tua is going to be regularly working with the ones in the scrimmage. Rosen regularly going to be working with the twos against the 2s and 3s. So that's what I'm saying. Just look for the progress because right now Tua has to build that chemistry with the ones that he had with guys like Hollins and Perry and guys like that. So
and let's decide for a little bit more havoc. Robert Hunt sounds like he was getting work with the ones because of his week, and who is he? Him, Emmanuel Ogbah. And that means Emmanuel Ogbah, that at least one sack most likely probably came on Tua. So that means Tua was also having to fight off Ogbah and quote unquote destroying Robert Hunt today as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
context is everything here, is what I'm saying, right?
Just that wording alone, destroying.
Is that a direct quote?
That's a direct quote.
Ogbah had at least one sack and was destroying Robert Hunt today. And they basically implied Robert Hunt was working with the ones because they were really impressed with what he had this week.
But remember when you remember reason when we had our it was when after the draft, we talked about the potential Robert Hunt potentially playing right tackle, and what do we say? We'll get a pretty good idea whether or not he can handle NFL upper tier type of talent because of the presence of Emmanuel Ogbah lined up on his side, and it appears that he's kind of struggling a bit, which is not, it's not unusual, and it's not time to push the panic button on him. It's just, I think Emmanuel Ogbah is just that good, He's got so much untapped potential, you know what I mean? And we've highlighted his athleticism consistently since we, were able to get him in the offseason and through free agency. So, I'm not surprised to hear that. I guarantee you, if Jesse Davis, whoever was lined up at that right tackle position, whoever he plays up against this year, they're going to have a tough time dealing with him because I think he has that kind of ability.
Yeah, I mean, how many guys like Emmanuel Ogbah realistically has Robert Hunt played against over the course of his career? Like at that level, I think it'd be safe to say he probably didn't play against a guy at that skill level all college. So he's getting, this is what you call the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
You got to.
There's no Emmanuel Ogbah in the Sun Belt, my friend.
No. So
I'm just glad that Jackson wasn't.
I just want to say quick, EM, you have an echo going on, bro.
Okay. Sorry, bro.
I was just really happy to hear that Jackson wasn't getting destroyed. That's good news for me.
And
Is that better?
Yeah, it is. And what's his face? And Solomon Kinley wasn't getting destroyed today from what we saw.
Perry had a good day.
Yeah.
Okay, again, Perry is maybe the most consistent name on these reports of guys, making big plays out here. So
Malcolm Perry?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, did he have a Holland sighting today? Or no?
He didn't have a Holland sighting today.
He had a 50-yard reception from Rosen today.
Holla.
50. Wow, he's displaying big playability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You saw that bomb from Tua the other day, and then now this one. And he's not just saying quote unquote,
he's a
slot
Swiss
guy.
He's a Swiss Navy knife, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, check
That's
this out.
encouraging to hear.
I got some stats from today for you guys. So Isaiah Ford led all receivers in the scrimmage in both receptions and yards. He had 5 receptions, 72 yards. And Devontae Parker did not practice again today.
Damn, I wonder what that's about, man.
They're saying the source or whatever to the Miami Herald is saying it's nothing serious, but that's 3 straight practices. So Matt Breida had 7 carries for 33 yards. Jordan Howard had 9 for 12. Myles Gaskin had 4 for 10. Patrick Laird, making his way back from a shoulder injury, did not carry the ball, nor did running back Sabon Ahmed.
Those are Caleb Malaj's numbers right there, bro.
Tagovailoa ran once for 8 yards. And here's your final receiving numbers beyond Ford. Perry had 2 for 62. Preston Williams had 3 for 24. Gesicki had 3 for 15. Ricardo Lewis had 3 for 21. Chester Rogers had 2 for 25. Gaskin had 2 for 8. Tight end Adam Shaheen had 1 for 10. Gary Jennings had 1 for 13. Howard had 1 for 3. And Chandler Cox had 1 for 9. It goes on here about how the defensive line is clear. It's their strength through 10 practices. It talks about how Emmanuel Ogbah and Shaq Lawson have been enormous upgrades, which we already know. It also talked about how rookie Brandon Jones has said he's worked at safety and nickel corner in camp. And McCain has been impressed with him. Bob McCain said, Brandon's going to be good for us, high energy motor, runs around, makes plays. Gotcha had some very good things to say about Solomon Kindley. He said he has great feet for a big guy. He's very aggressive. He just needs to keep being consistent. The sky is the limit for him. Harris highlighted Austin Jackson, said he's done a fantastic job. Apparently, Camus Berger-Hill had a very impressive day in scrimmage. So, I mean,
I'm not surprised there.
You know, and we highlighted early, Landon Roberts had a good day too, from what we understand.
There's that name again. There's that name again. I mean, no matter who you listen to, consistent all throughout since training camp started, that name has popped up consistently. No matter who you listen to, they've been highlighting this kid, Landon Roberts, and again, you know, the complete package. You know, he's good in coverage, outstanding in run support. He just hadn't had the opportunity to get an increased role at New England.
Yeah.
So apparently now,
Hill, right? Same as Gruger Hill.
Same as
right?
Gruger Hill. Yeah. So it looks like now Flores is moving. He's all systems go, and he's moving forward with these two young talents. And I know y'all probably went over Raekwon McMillan. You know,
go ahead.
That's disappointing to hear about Raekwon. You know, we talked about this privately earlier. We called this like a month and a half ago when we had our linebacker review. We went over the depth at the linebacker position, and we were consistent. We just don't see a role for him, especially with the offseason bringing all these other guys in. I thought Vince Beagle, would potentially be taking more reps from him, but since he got hurt, and then these other guys stepped up and filled that role, and he just didn't. He just didn't pick the baton up and run with it. They've given him every opportunity. His second year, coming back in the same system, he had a leg up on pretty much everybody, and the staff loved him. They loved his game. They loved everything he brings to this defense, the physicality. But he's, at the end of the day, this is a one-dimensional player in a scheme. Well, not anymore, but was on a scheme in a program that prioritizes versatility. And it's disappointing to hear. I love Raekwon, man. I think him going to Oakland, that's a better fit for him, a better scheme, where he can where he can play his natural position, in a 4-3, which I think is best suited for his skill set, play downhill, aggressive in run support. So, hopefully a fresh start will do him some good, but he just wasn't wasn't a scheme, the most ideal scheme fit because of his lack of versatility. So appreciate Raekwon for everything he contributed to this team. It's just disappointing to hear because I had such high hopes for him, and I just don't get why he's so suspect in coverage. He's an athletic player. I don't get it. You know what I mean? 4.59. I get his 40. He had an outstanding 40 time the year he came out. He ran 4.59 in the 40. I get 40-yard, straight line speed is not everything, but I'm just disappointed to hear that. But hopefully, things work out for him. He'll land on his feet, and he'll start to somewhat live up to that second round draft status. But yeah, they're moving forward. Flores is not playing. He ain't playing games with nobody. If you're not producing, if you're not an asset to this program, I'm gonna holler at you. That's the message she's sending to everybody. So you gotta love that though about him as a coach. You have to be impressed by that. So it's just disappointing to hear. So
yeah, I mean, it looks like it looks like Landon Roberts and Gruger Hill, and the Van Bros. They got it. I mean, it's theirs to lose now. It looks like. It looks like that combination is pretty much, I wouldn't say slotted, but that is the probable starting lineup right there at the linebacker position. Unless Jerome Baker can make a late charge.
That's a surprise to me. How the hell is he still on the roster? If it was me, and if it came down to those two, I'm pulling the trigger on Jerome Baker as opposed to Raekwon McMillan.
I thought he might be out the door first.
Yeah, because at least Raekwon offers you something. You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell does Jerome Baker contribute to this defense. I'm still trying to figure that out.
I mean, if they can, maybe sharpen up his secondary skills, he can lose about 10 pounds. He can be a safety.
That's a lot easier said than done, man.
I know. That's why I'm saying he doesn't have a ton of options.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. That's a head scratcher to me. But maybe he improved this offseason. And again, if he has improved his ability to successfully take on Shed and he can offer something in the run game. Mm-hmm. I'd be the first here. I'll be the first one, with egg all over my face, and I'll be glad to sit here and let him throw eggs all over my face, bro. I'll be happy, if he can contribute and become a good player for this defense. But I don't see it. I don't think he's I've highlighted, not on this platform, but also the other platform. I just don't think he's a scheme fit. But we'll see how that unfolds. But I do think his role is going to be drastically reduced. He won't get 90% of the snaps this year. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. So we'll see.
Flo seems to have a plan. That's what I'm leaning on. Flo seems to have a plan.
Mm-hmm. But they are thin though, in terms of just if you're talking about, because Jerome Baker will play on the interior for the most part. If you're looking at like guys that are naturally, that's their MO. You got Gruger Hill, you have all of them are versatile, can play multiple positions. But if you project them playing, where they're going to play in this defense primarily, you have Landon Roberts, Gruger Hill, Jerome Baker, and really who else behind? I'm expecting Kyle Van Noy to play more off the ball, but we'll see. But in terms of players where they're going to play, where they're going to get the majority of the snaps, you really only have three guys. Now that Vince Beagle's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. So the fact that he's gone and got hurt, I think that kind of increased Jerome Baker's chances of staying on this roster week one. So
maybe they're going to use less sets with linebackers. Maybe they're going to go more defensive back sets.
Well, that's what the talk is, that they're going to use a lot of
Brandon Jones comes in.
A lot of two linebacker sets with a whole hell of a lot of DBs.
Trust me, that'll be the plan early on. Wait until we start getting gashed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll be the play. That'll be the approach early on. I'm sure that's what we would love to do.
It's the plan until you give up $150 on the ground.
Hey, it's like Mike Tyson said. Everybody got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Right.
So we'll see how that unfolds. But hopefully, those guys can hold up. But we'll see, man.
So let's keep it rolling here with what the Sun Sentinel said today and their observations. So basically, if we go here, it talks about how the unfortunate loss of Ryan Fitzpatrick's mother paved the way for rookie Tagovailoa and Josh Rosen to get first-team reps. And it goes on to talk about how neither one of them really performed at a high level given what they had to work with. As we highlighted earlier, Tua led the Dolphins to 2 field goal drives, and then those were with the ones from what we understand. And then with the 2s and the 3s, Rosen led them to a touchdown and a field goal. Also, Rosen and his offense replaced Tua and his offense on the last drive. There was also defensive changes that were made too. So it wasn't just, a quarterback for a quarterback thing. And it even highlights here about how after Tua threw his interception to Eric Rowe, it was literally on the next drive, the next possession that, whoa, bro.
Rattlesnake back there, homie?
Yeah, bro. This guy's got I don't know what's going on in EM's life right now.
That's that Texas right there, man.
Yeah. And then only moments after, the Tua interception, Rosen literally on the next drive, that's when he had his interception. So, again, nothing really crazy to highlight today.
I have a question about X.
We'll go over a few things here. Okay, go ahead.
On Twitter, what's his name? Armando said that X played and had an interception. People were calling him a liar. Do we know what the truth is?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither.
So it goes on to say here, Rosen may have won the day in the scrimmage thanks to a 19-yard touchdown pass to receiver Ricardo Lewis at the start of the fourth quarter, leading his team to a 10-6 victory. But that's in part because Flores pulled Tagovailoa on the final offensive drive of the game in an anticlimactic ending of the first scrimmage of Miami Dolphins training camp. Tagovailoa even said himself, "I was hoping to finish that drive." Obviously, he didn't. He said, "I don't know what happened, but hey, that's how the game goes. You do all you can until something happens." Tagovailoa was leading the offense up the field and completed his final pass of the day to help his side cross midfield before Flores called a timeout with roughly 3 minutes remaining. Flores then goes on to say that we pulled the whole offense and defense. We pulled both teams. We only have 2 quarterbacks, so he was in on that group, and we played the entire offense, so we put Rosen back in. Rosen said, "I don't really think there's much to look into it." Rosen was unable to make the most of the final 3 minutes, but he did have the best 2 plays by the quarterbacks on the day. Rosen completed that deep pass to Malcolm Perry for 55 yards, which got the Dolphins to the 27-yard line. Rosen said his first 2 reads on the play initially were jammed by the defense, and he saw Perry streaking down the field in the line of his vision. 2 plays later, Rosen threw a 9-yard pass to Lewis at the end of the third quarter. That marked the first time either offense crossed the 20-yard line during the scrimmage. 1 play later, however, the Dolphins committed a penalty. Rosen made up for the miscue with his touchdown pass, the only one of the scrimmage. The first half of the scrimmage saw 11 total drives end with just 3 field goals. 2 of those field goals were from Tua. 1 of those field goals was from Rosen. And that touchdown didn't happen to the second half. And both quarterbacks threw their interception in the first half. Rosen's interception was caught by Clayton Fledgelum. And it says here, he nearly had 3 interceptions on the day, but penalties negated 2 potential turnovers by Nick Needham and Breon Borders. Rosen led 2 of the field goal drives in the first half, while Tagovailoa nearly had 2 himself until the first half ended with a missed 61-yard field goal kicked by Jason Sanders. The miscue ruined the field position Tagovailoa created with a slant pass to Matt Collins in the final.
The homie.
forcing Tagovailoa's side to enter halftime down 6-3. Tagovailoa completed 13 of 23 passes for 119 yards, while Rosen was 11 of 24 for 143 yards on the day. And it says Tagovailoa's performance was not spectacular, but he continues to grow more comfortable in the Dolphins' offense and shows no signs of lingering effects from his hip surgery last November. So it goes on a little couple of news and notes. It says Devontae Parker, we highlighted, he didn't scrimmage today. Van Noy, because of his hand injury, he did not scrimmage today as well.
I mean, I think I like that one quote from Rosen where he said that he just threw it up to Perry because his other guys were stuck inside. Just like I said.
Sounds like you got the third read.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that was one of the times that, he was able to keep Agba at bay, but it's good. It's good to see that. This article is kind of be told from the perspective of like the offense had a bad day, but I think it's more from the perspective that the defense had a good day.
I hope.
Because when you talking about Rosen talking about making it to his third read, I mean that just shows you that. I mean, he's playing with the 2s and 3s. Maybe his first and second read aren't necessarily, it's probably Chester Rogers and Ricardo Lewis, something like that. So a little fling up the Perry, once again showing more than I thought he had. I'll keep it a buck. So that's a very pleasant surprise.
Well, I think it's more so in terms of the secondary. I would have to agree with that. Because we've been consistent. We've been talking about this, how good we think. Once they get, every piece. Once every piece of the puzzle is available to them, it's going to be extremely difficult. And I'm convinced of that. It's going to be difficult for opposing quarterbacks to consistently beat our man coverage. And so this is not surprising to see. I mean, to hear. Especially Josh Rosen struggling, but even Tua. Considering he's a rookie and this is his first camp. I will say this though, I told Reason this earlier. We all know how I feel about Tua Tagovailoa, the player and the person, but it's definitely not time to hit the panic button. And I'm not, I won't
get your hand off the panic button, EM. Get your hand off the panic button.
Listen. I will not lose sleep over this, but I will say this. It's the second time Tua has had an opportunity to solidify himself. Second opportunity now.
Yeah, but this is his first. Yeah, but see, you can't even say that because the context of the situation is this is his first opportunity working with the ones like this.
I understand. I understand that, and I'm taking that into consideration.
Because the first time Fitzpatrick was gone, Rosen got to work with the ones.
This is true. But at the end of the day, and you have to take that in consideration, and I get that. But still, I just would rather. And again, I don't.
By the sounds of it,
no, I'm not pushing the panic button.
By the sounds of it, Rosen was up against guys like Clayton Fledgulum and Breon Borders, while Tua was up here against Eric Rowe and the ones on the other side of the ball too.
I just would have seen Tua,
And Agba was having a beast day, so we can only imagine what it was.
I get it.
It was even more dominant than what it was described because Rosen in his interview said that there was a fumble that the defense would have gotten, and they called it a not fumble, and they continued on the drive. So hopefully I think the defense is being very good.
Well, that's what the articles have all highlighted, that the defense looked really good today.
Yeah,
but it's even more because they said it was Rosen says a fumble, and they said no. Flo said no, it's not a fumble. Continue. So it was even more dominant.
I just wanted to, I just would love again. I just want Tua to start. Like we said yesterday, I want that consistency from practice to practice to be maintained, and I don't want to see the fluctuation. I just want to see steadiness. I want to see consistency.
But there was a loop. There was a loop today. I mean, Fitzpatrick.
You add in his numbers today, and this is his stats through his first 2 weeks in scrimmage. So he's still 53 of 87 for 61%, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 6 sacks because I included the Ogba one, and 2 delay of games.
Yeah,
So,
which is why I'm not pulling. I'm going to give this kid every opportunity, every chance that he needs to solidify himself. But I'm just saying, I just want to see, and that's any rookie. It's not just
You
him. I
expected
said
more.
this yesterday. I said that with all our rookies, not just two. That's just not relative to Tua Tagovailoa. All of them. I want to see. This is the second week now. I'm going into the third week. I want to. The season is coming here in the season will be here in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I want to see all of them start. I want to see consistency. I want to see stacking good practice on top of, no matter what situation you're thrust in. Because at the end of the day, it's so much uncertainty in the NFL. You know what I mean? You can sit up here and make excuses. Well, he was running with this team. He was running with that team. Okay, I get that. I understand the context of everything. But at the end of the day, when you get your opportunity, you have to show what you can do. And you have to start to solidify your position, okay? And that's every rookie. So I'm just saying, I just want to see, that clock is ticking. It's getting close here.
yeah,
So
but,
he's
he's not going to be starting week 1. So why? But that's the.
I mean, we don't know that. We don't know that.
I'll put money on anyone who wants to make the bet right now that Fitzpatrick is back.
Well, yeah, I think that would be the plan.
And Flores himself said today there's no quarterback controversy at all. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
worried about that at all. But here's my thing. It's only his second. It's literally his own second mediocre practice out of 10 padded practices. It's
It's
literally
scrimmage.
only his second, and it just happened to fall on his first scrimmage, which is the not only did he get thrust into working with and against ones, but it's also the most game-like situation that he has seen so far, and he still managed to put up an almost identical stat line as a guy who's in his third training camp.
But I think the biggest thing to come out of it is that imagine you're at the game 1, Fitz is a starter, he tests positive, Tua has to go in. Tua had a little taste of that today, completely unexpected. He had to go in and start. So
that's
as a
what
coach,
that's what I mean by the uncertainty. We all know with this COVID-19, just the nature of 2020.
But Tua has a taste now.
When it announced Fitzpatrick was missing scrimmage today, if anyone in their right mind thought Tua was going to go off and light it off in that situation with the number ones, the first time really working with the number ones right away, I don't know what to tell you, but you had too high of expectations.
I was going to say you can't bet on hope. You can hope for hope, but you can't bet on hope. And you want to talk about consistency. Let's first, tip our hat to the defense for showing some consistency. Something that was not displayed all of last season. So, let's tip our hat to, it looks like our secondary and our front line appear to have something brewing. Real nasty right now. And, you talk about an untested O-line. You're talking about a situation where the quarterback for the respective units has effectively been flipped. You're just looking for them to just keep it together, particularly on day 1. Just keep it together. Get in and out the huddle. Run the plays, run your routes right, make the right reads, things of that nature, and then build on that. So,
that should have been
panic button is still on the box.
And Havoc, what did Tua say in his Zoom today? Right, he said there were things I did that I liked and things that I didn't like. What did he say? Right now, after I'm done here, I'm going to go watch the film of everything we just did, so I can prepare myself for the meeting tonight with the coaches.
I mean, you got these cerebral quarterbacks that think like that. Like, let me get this footage. Let me eat this footage up.
And did y'all see what he said today? You see what he said today about his grandfather when he said when he said, and this is why I love this kid, man. He said today, listen, it would talk, and he highlighted his grandfather used to say this to him. He said, every day when you wake up, you got to decide whether you're going to be a gazelle or a lion. A gazelle wakes up and they're running from something. Okay. When a lion wakes up, it's running to something. And he's like, I wake up every morning and I want to be a lion and I want to run to my goals for each day. And that's why I said, like, when I heard him highlight that he's jumping right back in when that Zoom was done, to the film room, I was like, yo, he's going to be okay next time he's out there in a scrimmage situation with these ones. He's going to know what to expect, man.
Yep.
I just want, again, like I said, and two, I'm sure he would agree with me based off the statement that you made earlier. He would agree exactly with what I'm saying. I just did at this late in the game. It's the third week. I just want to see more consistency because again, I think we could all agree Tua. It's a strong possibility that Tua he's going to be playing at some point. And again, it might be long. It might be further down the road. But again, you want to start with today. Okay, getting yourself better. Every single day you need to get better at something.
I'd like to also point out it's the second week still, but okay.
Well, next week, Monday is the third week. Monday will be the third week.
Hey, it's still the second week.
So I'm just saying, listen, nobody loves this kid more than me. Nobody does. But all I'm saying, and again, I'm just not highlighting Tua. I'm saying all of our rookies. That applies to really every player on the team. So I'm just saying, I just want Tua to start, to really solidify himself and distance himself from, especially Josh Rosen. You know what I mean? I want to see at the bottom.
I can sit here and say that clearly up until today he's distanced himself if he got the majority of the reps with the ones.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would agree.
I think it's important to note the common denominator, which is, opposed from Tua being said or Rosen or anything like that, the state of our offensive line getting together, because if they're not together, it almost doesn't matter what you're throwing out there.
No, and here's the crazy thing. No one on the offensive line today was highlighted in a positive way. Like Austin Jackson didn't pop up, Ted Karras didn't pop up, Robert Hunt popped up in a negative way. So no one was really obviously no one saw anything worth mentioning from the offensive line today as well. And if you again, quote unquote, Emmanuel Ogbah was destroying Robert Hunt all day.
I have a question.
That's not good.
And from what we learned, the context of the situation, Robert Hunt was rolling with the ones today. So that tells you Fitzpatrick, that tells you not only was Tua in this situation, but Tua also clearly had to put up with pressure from Ogbah. Because yesterday he had 5 sacks, today he had 6. So, I mean, it's clear that the offensive line wasn't doing a very good job today as well, too. And that could be the defense is coming around or the offensive line isn't where it needs to be at. We don't know enough.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If Fitz was there, would Rosen have seen the field today?
Maybe
Probably
at the end.
not. Probably not. I don't think so.
Probably not.
You didn't mean not at all?
That's my thought.
Maybe with a little scab squad at the end, but
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
but I don't think he would have seen it much at all.
He may have gotten a possession or two type situation, but I don't think Josh Rosen woke up this morning thinking he was gonna, run for half the scrimmage. I'll say it like that. He was probably like, I'm gonna get a couple possessions. Let me make the best out of it.
So let's go over this last article here from the Palm Beach Post, a little bit of the Tua tracker. They give a little more context to that interception that he threw to tight end Mike Gesicki that Eric Rowe picked off. It was near the right sideline, but it also appeared as if Tagovailoa made a poor decision by throwing the ball late. And then it says here a few minutes later after Tagovailoa's interception, Rosen was intercepted by safety Clayton Fledglam on a deep attempt for receiver Chester Rogers. So there you go, working with the twos against the twos, it sounds like. It says Tagovailoa looked at his best on slants, though at times he was off target in general. Tagovailoa should have had a deep ball connection with Preston Williams, but Preston dropped the football. So we didn't hear this earlier. So there's a little more context, guys. He should have had a deep ball connection with Preston Williams, but Preston dropped the football. It was a well-timed pass with nice arc and excellent touch is what was said here. Rosen, who said he operated a bit too slowly and was too sloppy overall, was nearly intercepted on multiple other occasions. Nick Needham was all over the field, making a play on Saturday. Flores said there's a lot to clean up. Rosen did make an outstanding throw in the fourth quarter. That 15-yard touchdown pass to Ricardo Lewis was on a corner route. And then it talks about his deep connection, that 55-yard pass to Malcolm Perry. It says if the Dolphins were to need to go out with Fitzpatrick for any period of time, it would be fascinating to see if they would turn to Tagovailoa or Rosen. It says Tagovailoa was the future of the franchise and made great improvements from his first to second week of training camp. But would Miami be willing to play Tagovailoa before he reached, for example, 1 year following his serious hip injury? So it goes on and said, it gives that quote where he says, Tagovailoa says the lion and the gazelle. They both wake up in the morning and both got to run. One runs from something and one runs to something. Which one are you? You try to wake up and become a lion every day. I'm chasing to be the best Tua that I can be, both on and off the field. Rosen, meanwhile, appears more comfortable in his second year as a Dolphin, but it's not as if he's been lights out in practices. There was a gentle artificial crowd noise used at Hard Rock, which was not intrusive and instead enjoyable, actually. The Dolphins were without Parker and Van Noy again. So a little bit more context. Preston Williams had a drop today on what should have been a big play, obviously. That wasn't highlighted in any other one, so that's why we go over all of these. Guys, any thoughts coming away from that?
They said Van Noy upper body.
Yeah, it's a hand injury.
Okay.
It's his hand injury that he had a couple practices ago.
So they haven't specified they just said it. They hadn't specified what's going on with Devontae. They just said it's not serious, right?
Yeah, they just said it's not serious.
Okay.
And its sources are saying it's not serious.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first thing is, number one, you don't like to hear sloppy and slow in regards to Rosen's play.
Yeah.
You don't like to hear that at this point. You know, we may have to finally write the final page and close the book as a guy who has the arm talent, but the requisite intangibles to be consistently successful as a starting NFL quarterback are necessarily intangibles that he has. So at a certain point, and once again, I think the Palm Beach Post, it shows, it's not all doom and gloom, because if Preston hauls in that catch and scores a touchdown, then we're out here, then the narrative is different. But without that tidbit of information, we're all out here like, oh man, Rosen's out here, throwing it up, and Tua's out here checking it. You know what I mean? It's a little tidbits, and that's the thing when you're getting these piecemeal bits of information, you can't double down on one bit of information. That's why I keep saying, just wait for the body of work over the course of the week, where you can compile it all together and then make the assessment. That's why I said there's no panic for me on any account for anything. It just shows me that at least the defense has some continuity. The offensive line is, work in progress, which we all thought it would be. And our quarterbacks, particularly our rookie, work in progress. So, when we go through a week of scrimmages, let's make the analysis. But I think it's safe to project Tua's numbers will improve as the week goes along.
And I agree with that. So we're clear, so people don't start trying to loop me in with another with another person. Listen, again, no one loves this kid as a prospect more than me. Okay, but I just want to see him, because I have such high I hold his talent, his natural talent, in such high regard. You know what I mean? I just want to see him start to really distance himself, and it might happen. Hopefully, it happens, and I fully anticipate it happening next week, or the more as he gets more acclimated into the system. But again, I'm just saying, I just want to see more. I just want to see consistency. I don't want to see this fluctuation. One day he looks, like a
Well, he's been consistent since he had that day where he threw 3 touchdown passes. Today was the first bad day since then.
Well, yeah, and that's legitimate, but I just want to see him really, really. And again, I fully anticipate him doing that. It's just, I might be just a little, getting ahead of myself in terms of my expectation. You know what I mean, at this point, but I just, again, it's just not relative to Tua. It's all of our rookies. I want to see them, especially the top, the first rounders. So I want to see. I just want to see that consistency because with the season coming on, you can't live in that. When you're living in that realm of fluctuation, once the season starts, that's what gets you killed. That's what gets you killed.
Yeah. I mean,
and so Tua at some point will be playing it. I think I just don't know when, but I do think he's going to be playing at some point. So again, that's further down the road. He'll get better, I'm sure, over time. I expect that. But I'm just saying, I just want to, at this point, with the third week coming up on Monday, I just want to see more, more steadiness in his game. So,
smash, guys. There's 141 in the room. Smash that like button. I believe we're only at about 60 likes. So, guys, smash that like button. Pound it right now. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're sitting there, this is your first time watching, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to donate, PayPal.me/Finside. Just /Finside. If you want to become a Patreon member, www.patreon.com/Finside the NFL. And guys, there's only 2 spots left in the $25 league, and there's about 6-8 spots left in the free league. If you want to join fantasy, email me finsidethenfl@gmail.com. Tell me which league you want to be in, and I can sign you up. I will be closing that off on August 31st. And as usual, I do want to shout out our Patreons like we do every single episode. Obviously, the original OGs, Rhino Sith and Infinite Trauma, that were our first 2. Then we got Fake Spike 94, Joe B, KA All Day, Ramon Casillas, Seth, Mr. 2-Bits, and of course, Shake Money. So thank all of our Patreons and take advantage of those levels, guys. And again, 142 in the room. Smash that like button, guys. Don't be shy. Go ahead, Tavi.
I mean, I was just gonna say, you want struggle. Like, consistency doesn't necessarily look like doing good every day. Consistency is about doing good most of the time, and when you fall, you get back up and you keep going. So for me, actually, in my opinion, Tua has been more consistent than I thought he would be. I didn't think he was going to come in here and kill it every day or anything like that. That's just an unreasonable expectation to put on a rookie quarterback. But particularly this past week, he's been highly consistent, I would say. So, I mean, he's showing me exactly what I would like to see, if not overperforming in terms of my expectations of him. So, once again, the O-line coming together, if they're not together, it doesn't really matter who's throwing the ball too much. So once again, he's going to come back, and I think he's going to not only improve upon what he did today, but he's going to show that same consistency throughout scrimmages. See, sometimes you got to get hit in the mouth first, and then you can move on from there. So maybe he just, he got hit in the mouth today. I think in general, the whole team got hit in the mouth with the news earlier this morning. So to a certain extent, you don't throw it away. You don't throw the whole day away, but you just got to kind of put it in context with the rest of the week.
I'm just glad
That's
it looks like if he's available, we found our number 1 quarterback. The thing I'm disappointed in is Rosen, and it's not a personal thing. The conversations we've had with Ball Game, I was expecting a little bit more. And based off the first 3 days, I thought he had progressed a little bit more. And the reason why it upsets me is not because Rosen is doing bad and it's going to hurt his career or anything. I was looking forward to him pushing Tua. And pushing Tua means that he makes Tua feel uncomfortable and have to, push even harder to be better. And I'm not sure if that's happening right now. And I just wish it would have been a little better in that aspect. But I think Tua will be fine. I think he has it in him on his own to find that inner strength and the answers. It might be a little bit longer than we wanted. I don't know, but we just have to hope that it's the defense. The defense is looking really good. That's what we have to hope for.
My thing with Rosen was for him to take, it's his 3rd year, it's his 2nd year with his team. For him to take the step that everyone was talking about or clamoring over about, to me, to see progress, he would be pushing Fitzpatrick right now. And by the sounds of it, he's not even in the realm of the QB1 conversation. And to that to me is the most telling. You're in your 3rd year, second year with it's a new system, but it's a more quarterback friendly system than what Chad O'Shea's was. You're familiar with a lot of the ones. You're familiar with a lot of the guys who are, Jakeem Grant, even Albert Wilson before he opted out, and Alan Hearns, Gesicki, you're familiar with. Kind of to me, the excuses, the excuses are over for me with Rosen in terms of it doesn't look like he's going to take that next step anytime soon. In terms of Tua, give me a week of him working with the 1s and 11-11s, and let's see what he's doing by the end of that week with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Tua came out with the intention of trying to eat someone's head with that Lion Gazelle quote. It sounds like he's out here headhunting. He's like, I'm out here to get it. And a lot of times, the language I hear from Rosen is, putting my head down, trying to get better. But at a certain point, there has to be a sense of urgency, because getting better is like a line a rookie or maybe a first year quarterback should be out here consistently saying. But at a certain point, entering your third year, you should be out here trying to lop people's heads off. You have the advantage when it comes to the experience. At the very least, make it a challenge in training camp. That could be the role you play, is you push Tua to earn the number 2 job, as opposed to that's just where we have to slot him in now based on your performance. So that's disappointing. Not a guy I had pegged to start, but a guy that I had pegged to offer a challenge in camp. And that's not coming together.
I'm not surprised at all about Josh Rosen. I think we all know that. At the end of the day, last year, you couldn't have scripted a better scenario for a quarterback to potentially take over a franchise. You know what I mean? In a rebuilding year. You know what I mean? I get the issues we have with our offensive line. I understand what, just like everyone else, what transpired last year. But that was your time to be that line if you're Josh Rosen, in my opinion. So the fact that he fell so hard on his face, and he never recovered from that. Recovered at any point in the season. No, last year was his year, not this year. I know they were saying, they're telling the world it's an open quarterback comp. No, the quarterback competition is between Fitz and Tua. Not Fitz, Tua, and Josh Rosen. So last year was his year. Okay, that would have been his second opportunity to take over a franchise, and he just couldn't do it. And again, it's okay. I don't understand why people they get so testy when they're talking. It's okay. He's just not that talented. And again, there's a place in the NFL for those type of individuals, and they're called backups. And that's what Rosen will be.
And they live great lives.
Exactly.
A lot of hot dogs.
Exactly. I would trade, bro. I'd give my right arm to trade place with Josh Rosen. Are you kidding me? So, bro, man, no. I don't feel sorry for that kid.
Well, your left arm, not your right arm.
Yeah.
Well, when you're sitting on the bench, it don't really matter what arm. But
yeah, it don't matter.
What arm you hold that clipboard with?
So at the end of the day, I'm not surprised one bit about Josh Rosen. Again, I guess is he competition for Tua? Legitimate competition for Tua? No, I don't think so. I think the competition is Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's the quarterback competition. But so Rosen is irrelevant at this point, in my opinion, and he's just he's just there. He's the third guy on the depth chart, in my opinion. I hadn't gotten a confirmation or anything like that, but that's just my opinion. And he's just irrelevant, So
it is what it is.
Unless Fitz is out. Unless Fitz is out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he'll get bumped up to number 2. But Tua, at the end of the day, Tua's the guy. Tua's the future, and once Tua, and again, I fully anticipate Tua. We start. Once he gets, more opportunities with better, with the ones, and he gets, more opportunity, gets his feet underneath him, continue that process. Tua, I'm not one bit worried about Tua. I just, like I said, I just wanted to.
You wanted more.
Like to see, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Also, more opportunities to play against the likes of Byron Jones and
That's
Noah
gonna help him.
Benogany and
That's gonna
Van
help him.
Noy.
That's
You
going to
know?
help him.
And they didn't have Parker
100%.
today. No one had Parker today to throw to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to help him.
Yeah.
I would like to know, my biggest concern is that running game. That's my biggest concern.
It goes back to the
I'm
O-line.
not so much concerned about pass protection. I mean, and I get it's important, and you know, I understand. But my concern, what I want to know going into the season, is how is this running game performing? Are these guys opening holes for these running backs? And according to these Kalen Balazs type numbers, you know, that these running backs put up this today. And again, like Reason said, we will know till the season starts. Is it our D line that good, or our offensive line is not where it needs to be? We won't know. We won't know that. We won't get a more accurate assessment of that until the season starts.
That's why I want to see that first game. I want to see that first game.
Yeah, that's what I want to. You know, I want to know all the details about.
Yeah, so, I mean, we may be in a situation, and this may be premature, but, you know, I think I'd be comfortable if on paper with our defense, I'd be comfortable going into the playoffs with the defense that looked like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, really what we're talking about and kind of the linchpin of any offensive success is that O-line. And, you know, we know they invested resources in terms of the free agency and the draft, but like I said, just because you got the ingredients for gumbo doesn't mean you got gumbo. So it's all got to come together.
Yeah, it sounds like that right side isn't fit. Like it sounds like right now Solomon Kinley and Jesse Davis are probably the option to start, and it just sounds like every time Robert Hunt gets a chance to step up in 11-11s, he gets his ass handed to him. So
well, he get, you know, again, I expected him to have issues with speed, okay, in terms of pass protection. I said that from day one.
And power.
Well, my thing is
he didn't face any power like this in the Sun Belt either.
Right. And that's why I had concerns. But my issue is when they're calling those running plays, is he moving people? That's my concern. Because again, I keep telling people at the end of the day, I understand we had so many issues in terms of pass protection last year, but the run game helps pass protection. When you can establish a running game and you force the opposition to, you know, to scheme for the running game on every down, you know what I mean? They're just not pinning their ears back and just going to get the quarterback. That, you know, when you have a running game, you can threaten teams with that. That'll help your pass protection. You know what I mean? So because you're consistently in third and short type situations, but when you're 3rd and 7, consistently, I don't care what offensive line you have, and all the defense has to do is just pin their ears back and come get you. Man, no offensive line is going to hold up.
Yeah, but also
that's my concern.
We're also in a situation where maybe by default, Eric Flowers might be considered our best offensive lineman, but we don't know who the leader is yet. Like we don't know who really is going to be the rock of the O-line yet. And, I mean, maybe just based on the money, you look at Flowers, but that's someone that has to emerge. All I know is when I look at a guy like Robert Hunt, and he stands up, he makes the other offensive lineman look small. So, physically, he has the tools. But, once again, when you're playing, you know, when your competition is other Louisiana Lafayette players, you don't know what that Raekwon Davis strength feels like until, you know, he puts his bear claws on you. And once again, going back to week 1, where, you know, he is a guy probably used to dominating every single person he's come across in the football field, struggling early. Once again, struggling early.
And here's the thing, Larry wants to point out, it's a surprise, a rookie OT going against a top-notch TL. Okay, I get that, but why isn't Austin Jackson popping up like this?
And you know what? I haven't heard too much about Austin Jackson falling on his face either.
So that's where we're at here. You can clearly identify the concerns me and EM had back to. First of all, I graded this guy as a guard, not as an offensive tackle. Y'all can go back to the homework. I got receipts to prove that. Second of all, you know, we had concerns with him facing athleticism and power because he didn't face really that at either one of those at a high quality because he comes from the Sun Belt. Now he's facing it at a high quality, and he's obviously clearly having struggles where, let's be honest, Austin Jackson, he's not falling on his ass like Robert Hunt is right now. Mm-hmm. And that's not to sit here and say Austin Jackson was out here playing consistently SEC talent, but he was playing far considerably better talent than what you find in the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
definitely. And so Austin Jackson, and he had better coaching at USC than that was available at Louisiana Lafayette. So, Austin Jackson isn't popping up, but Robert Hunt is. So there is cause for concern in terms of things that we pointed out when we drafted him. When they talked about starting him at tackle, we said these are causes for concern of why he might not be a fit for tackle and be better suited for guard. And right now it looks like it's playing out like he might be better suited for guard.
And you know something, and Austin Jackson, well, Robert Hunt, like I said, my concern about Robert Hunt, I'm not too worried about him struggling with, speed, guys that are more, that the speed rush on the outside. That's not necessarily a concern.
Those crafty veterans you got to worry about with Hunt.
Right. What I want to know is, again, is he getting overwhelmed with power? Because that's his MO. That's that's his calling card right there. That's what, that's why people were calling him, if you rejected him to guard at the NFL level, he could be a Pro Bowler in week one. I'm sorry, year one.
Yeah, because he got to the second level on like every snap.
Yeah. So that's my concern. Is he getting overwhelmed in terms of in the power game? And when they're calling up run, when they're calling that power, I formation, dive play up, to the right side, or when they're calling that stretch play to the right side, when he gets his hand on people, is he moving these defenders? That's my concern. So we don't know that. We won't know that until week one. But
doesn't sound like
him struggling.
Doesn't sound like anyone on the offensive line was moving anyone in the run game today, other than It sounds like only Breda and Gaskin were the ones to muster yards.
Yeah.
So
we know Agba had his day.
But Agba's gonna eat against anybody. You know what? I've heard. I listened to Travis Wingfield, and he said the only one that's been able to somewhat handle Emmanuel Agba since training camp open has been Eric Flowers. Everybody else, either him or Raekwon Davis. Yeah. Everybody else,
I hate to be the one to say I told everyone so, but I told everyone so. This guy's going to cash in after year two, and if anyone's hitting double-digit sacks in this defense,
it will be him.
It is Emmanuel Agba, and y'all can take that one to the bank.
Pam. If he does that,
no. The problem is how much you got.
How old is he?
Yeah,
I mean, how old is he, and how much you got to pay him?
Well, if Xavier Howard doesn't return to form, if he has a suspect year, you can always manipulate his contract situation, and maybe turn around and give him money to Agba if he's that player. But
I think he'll be 28 by the time you got to pay him too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, X is probably number one on the contract restructure list on Chris Greer's big board. He's looking dead at that Xavier Howard contract.
They're definitely shaking him down for sure. For sure. Do I need to loan him my best friend or what?
Come on now.
Hey, all they need is a ski mask, baby. Break yourself. So
everybody's already messed up too. He's probably like, I got it.
Yeah. So, but I don't know, man. Like back to Robert Hunt though. I'm not too concerned about him struggling with speedier rushers. We anticipated that, but
yeah.
I'm just if he's out there getting pushed around and he's getting overwhelmed with power, that is the more concern.
Well, I think particularly with Austin Jackson,
guard, bro, he shouldn't even be on the outside taking on this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I agree
100%.
The guy is literally Brandon Streff 2.0. And what was Brandon Streff? a right tackle,
He was a tackle, yeah.
guard,
He was.
and now he's one of the best guards. That Robert Hunt's even built it. Their body frame is almost identical too, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like they even put up almost identical combine numbers as well. Like it's like he's literally Brandon Schreff, bro. Like that's what I'm sitting here and saying. Like to me, the money that shouldn't have been spent, and we didn't know at the time. Obviously, we didn't know at the time. Was the money on Eric Flowers, because it looks like you could have started Jesse Davis at right tackle, Hunt at guard, Karras at center, Kinley at left guard, and then Jackson at left tackle. But the good thing that's come along with Eric Flowers' $10 million is, from what I understand, Eric Flowers, Ted Karras, and Keaton Sutherland have been mentoring all these rookie guys on the offensive line. So
I like that.
Can't put a price on growth, development, and mentoring.
I agree.
Yep,
So,
and I think
it's only for 2 years. It's only $10 million for 2 years, I believe. Right?
And I think when we look at Tua's development, we're going to look very favorably upon Ryan Fitzpatrick and his role in helping to develop him. You know, at a certain point, you know, these rookies can't
quarterback coach, brother. That's my future quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, these rookies can't show each other how to play O-line in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know.
And
like
then starting three rookies on your O line first day one. I don't know about that. You know,
I'm not worried about our offensive line.
I think Flowers was a wise investment on so many levels. You know, but again, Hunt, if he doesn't, you know, take that right tackle spot from Jesse Davis, he adds tremendous depth to this O-line, you know, playing behind Kinley, playing behind Flowers, you know what I mean? So he's going to get playing time. He's going to get his opportunity. You know what I mean? So just if he doesn't make it out of camp, you know, as a starter, he'll get an opportunity to prove himself.
He's a guard, bro.
Stretch of the season.
He's a guard, man. I told y'all can do the receipts on day 2 of the draft when I was on the other platform. And I was the first one that was asked for an evaluation on him. And the first words out of my mouth were, I have him graded out as a guard. He's a guard. He's not a right tackle. All you're doing right now is you're seeing it. And I've been pretty consistent. Have I not, since Pats came on, EM, have I not said that I think Jesse Davis is going to win the right tackle job, and that right guard is going to become between Robert Hunt, and when Solomon Kinley started popping off, I said it's going to be between Solomon Kinley and Robert Hunt for that right guard job, and I stand. And today's scrimmage, by the sounds of it, reinforced that. So I'll stick to my guns that he has the potential to be a Pro Bowl guard. I see that in him. Like him and Cesar Ruiz, to me, were the first 2 guys who could slot in a guard, and you'll get a Pro Bowl out of them in probably the first couple of years. I don't think you're going to get a Pro Bowl out of him in the first couple of years, or potentially in the first 5 years at right tackle. I just don't see it.
I think we need to start, you know, giving Jesse Davis a little, you know, just a little bit of love.
Thank you.
Man, I mean, we're talking about these rookies, these but Jesse Davis.
Think about his year every year. They tell me he has to think about backing up everyone. This year he's probably told, worry about this.
Yeah. And Travis Wingfield said, man, Jesse Davis has been one of the most consistent guys in camp.
Yeah.
So we need to start giving him just a little bit of love. You know what I mean? I'm not saying not Pro Bowl type Keith Sims or Richmond Webb type love, but just give him just a little bit.
I'm excited
these
for
young
him.
Guys off. He's holding these young guys, and they gave when they selected him in the second round, Robert Hunt. They told the world, we want this dude to take Jesse Davis's job. That's what the staff. That's the message they sent to the NFL world. And for him to hold this guy off, you know, and the only way you can hold him off is by your play on the field. And he's done that up to this point. So we need to give that man put a little more respect on that man's name. Now, hopefully that translates to better production and more consistency in the regular season, but we won't know that until week 1.
But also, I think it goes to show, you know, if you don't have the requisite footwork, it doesn't matter how much power you have. Right. You're going to get dominated. And I think that's why, you know, why perhaps Robert Hunt could dominate, you know, at Louisiana Lafayette. He's just bigger. I mean, he's just bigger and stronger than the guys
the
he's
level
going
of
up
athleticism
against.
And the level of athleticism is
and
nowhere
good
near.
athleticism, but
he had pretty.
But Austin Jackson came in with what was considered to be considerably more technique as a tackle than Robert Hunt did.
Hold on.
No, he was just considered a better athlete. He was better.
But doesn't that go towards footwork though?
Robert Hunt has very good feet. Robert Hunt has very good feet. Austin Jackson he has like ice skates. He just slides into his pass. He's got better feet. But Robert Hunt, and the thing is, Robert Hunt is technique from the waist up was a lot better on tape than what Austin Jackson's was, especially with his hands. So
I think, you know what I think though? I think a lot of that had to do with the competition he faced.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we took all that into consideration in terms of our evaluation. But Austin Jackson, I think the reason why we're not seeing him get overwhelmed, especially in terms of speed guys, but because he's gone up against Emmanuel Ogbah in one-on-ones as well. And we haven't heard to this point that him getting overwhelmed like Robert Hunt has. It's because he just moves, his lateral movement is just so much is on another level, not just relative to Robert Hunt, but to a lot of tackles. I mean, this kid he's a very, very good athlete. So, and again, I think he's at a point where he has just enough upper body strength to where he's not going to get overwhelmed every single week like we saw from Michael Dieter last year. I think he has just enough, you know what I mean, to be competent in terms of it, as far as upper body strength. But what did I say since day one? Linemen, what they struggle with is athleticism day one. And I thought he just had enough in every category to not, my expectation with him is just not be Julian Davenport terrible. You know what I mean? So, but his ability to play in space, his lateral movement is off the chart. He moves like a tight end, to be honest with you. And he has just enough requisite upper body strength. Now he needs to improve his anchor. He needs to get stronger on his base and improve his hand placement. But once he does that, we could have a special player on our hand.
And I don't even think Julian Davenport is even in the discussion.
No, he's
of starting at left tackle.
Bro, he was getting destroyed by Curtis Weaver. All right, so we got to wrap this up here. Let's go through for final thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, man, first scrimmage. There's some positive. There's also some negatives, which is not unusual for this time of year, but. I took a lot of good things from the article, in particular defense, the secondary, the run defense. Hopefully, it's how they're performing at this. Hopefully that's because they are that much more improved based off what we saw last year. So it's not time to panic, whether you're Tua fans, Robert Hunt fans, anybody that didn't perform up to your expectation today, it's not time to hit the panic button. But again, it's a lot of positive and negative to take from this, but the defense overall, I am loving what I'm hearing because I think at the end of the day, especially early on, hopefully it's the running game in addition to the defense is what's going to carry this team early on. But, again, I just don't know enough about the run game at this point, how they've been performing in the run game. So, but yeah, a lot of positive, a lot of positive, some negative, but overall, I'm liking what I'm hearing from the defense, man. Because we all know that's my call. That's my
I mean, it looks like, the defense, the first scrimmage just tells me the defense is pretty much where I thought it would be at. And the offense is pretty much where I thought it would be at. I mean, we have to wait until, the end of the week to really get a good assessment. But, we knew this defense, in my opinion, on paper, starting off the season is top 10. Easily could be a top 10 defense. And our offense, we're not sure. Because at the end of today, we're still not sure what our O-line situation is going to look like. So the O-line directly affects the run game. We did not have a run game last season. So in order for us to be successful as a team, we can't just chuck it up all day. We got to be able to, grind it out and chew the clock. And that's how, particularly with New England, that's how they did it. Tom Brady was an extension of the running game, their ability to control the clock, suck all the air out of the opposition's chance to make a comeback. So not too much to jump out of my seat up. Just wait till the end of the week and compile and see what happens.
I'll take the positive. If he's available, we found our starting quarterback. We have that settled. I think our defense is right on schedule, and I'm looking forward to, if I have my best wishes, is for Rosen to give Tua some kind of competition this week. When Fitz is out, I'm not holding my breath, but that's what I'm hoping for, so he can progress for his NFL career. And we're 2 weeks away, baby. Films up.
Are we practicing tomorrow? I haven't even checked.
Well, after today, that offense needs to be out there.
Yeah, the O-line needs some work.
I hope so.
I haven't looked. I'll look after, but if we are practicing, I'll be live again tomorrow, guys. But there's still 127 people in the room. Smash that like button, guys. Subscribe if you haven't. The usual. But if they are practicing tomorrow, I'll be back. As usual, I'll be back tomorrow to cover what's going on. Guys, what can you really say except, it was Tua's first day with the ones. Let's have him get some experience with them, build some chemistry, because it's clear he's already developing them with the 2s and the 3s. People can even use that Rosen excuse, where Rosen had been working a little bit more with the 1s when he was working than he was with the 2 and 3s. And he's been really not getting a lot of work lately. So if you want to use that, knock yourself out. In terms of me, my takeaway today was the defense this whole week, to me, has come on. Nick Needham's been stepping up. Ogba and Shaq Lawson all week clearly have taken a step forward with our defense, and you saw Ogba showing up again today too. Landon Roberts and Kamu Grugier-Hill have really emerged, and that's why you see Raekwon's gone. So clearly over the last week and a bit, the defense has been showing off and showing out at practice, to where they're even out here making moves on defense. So
Reason, has Noah Igbenogany returned to practice yet?
Not that I've heard of.
Good question.
Not that I've heard of. So that's, to me, that's been the biggest thing, is the defense this past week, not just today. The defense looked like it's starting to come together. Again, something we all expected. Defense usually comes together before offense, especially the offensive line. We've highlighted before in our draft evaluations. Offensive line is the hard one next to quarterback. Offensive line is probably the hardest transition from the collegiate level to the NFL. And obviously, Robert Hunt's going through some of those growing pains. The past couple of days, Solomon Kinley's been going through some of those growing pains from what we understand. And Austin Jackson's been the only one who's you haven't heard a lot of good, but you also haven't heard a lot of bad. He's kind of just, and like I said before, if you're not making these reports, that means you're just out there doing your job, and that's good enough for me. So that's my takeaway from everything today, guys. Other than that, we'll be back for the next practice. And as usual, it's fins up all day, every day, guys.
Be safe, everybody.
Keep your head up, Fitz.
Again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Prayers up.
Prayers up with Fitzpatrick, guys. Terrible news. Yeah, man. Awful stuff. So, guys, we hope you all have a good Saturday, and we will catch y'all on the next one.